Good morning. My name is Karen Kong, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to my This or That Thursday. And today we are making this card live. So it was tied on Facebook, but I have people voting on Instagram as well, and they clearly voted for this card. So this is my favorite of the two, actually, but I do love both of them. If you're joining me, please say hi. Tell me where you're watching from. It's always nice to have company when I'm crafting, and ask me questions. So just give me a second while I get my my computer set up so that I can see your comments while we're crafting. All right. So when I took the whole summer off and I didn't do any lives, every time it comes to September, I always feel like I'm doing it brand new again and I've forgotten how to do stuff, and I didn't get my page like opened and ready. I thought I had everything ready, but then I realized I don't have my page ready. Just a second. All right. Okay. So I have my page ready now, and I think what I'm going to do is just switch right over to my desktop and we'll get started, and I'll show you, actually I'll show you both cards first, okay? So just hang on a second, close your eyes while I move my camera. It's going to be a little bit bumpy. Okay, I'm just going to zoom in a bit. And you guys will let me know if I'm off camera by accident. All right, here we go. I'm just adjusting the camera angle because I can see that I am just a tiny bit off, and it's gonna make me crazy if it's like, okay, I think that's okay. Oops. Okay. All right, so here's the two cards I posted. This is just a regular card that opens up like this, and this is a fun fold, which several of you said that you wanted to learn how to make, and it's pretty easy. I think what I might do is I'll post the card later, and I'll ask anybody who wants to get the instructions. I will post some measurements perhaps, and point you to the demonstrator who actually showed me how to make the actual fun fold part. So I didn't use the card that she made. She used an airplane. She made an airplane themed card, but I did learn how to make the fun fold itself, and I have my own measurements for it, so you can grab that from me. Good morning, Tanya. Glad to see you're joining in. It's nice to have company. Yeah, so I'm doing well. It's been fabulous weather here in Ottawa. We've had some really nice sunny days, cool evenings, cool mornings, perfect for, you know, walking in the daytime. Actually, mornings are best for walking. Evenings are good for walking because it's nice and cool. But yeah, it's been some really nice fall weather here. How are you doing? And okay, so those are the two cards, and I just wanted to point something else out. So I am basing my colors on these cute little birds from the Nests of Winter DSP. So the blue that's in the Nests of Winter is a Coastal Cabana, but I actually use Pool Party for this one, for the card base. So just take a look at the back there. And this one is a Coastal Cabana. So they're super close, and I don't think it really makes a difference which one I use. I mean, it's just, this one's just a touch of color. And the sentiment here actually from the Ephemera pack, Joyful Sayings, is actually Pool Party. So that's why I use Pool Party for this card base. So those two match, and I don't think, like, I think the shading on the blue here is varied enough that you can get away with two different shades of blue for the card base. Good morning, Maureen. Hi, Sandra. So yeah, so I just wanted to show you that, you know, I did use two different card bases, and they're similar but slightly different, Coastal Cabana and Pool Party, but they both work for these little birds. So I really love these little birds, and I think they make a great, I mean, it's a non-traditional Christmas color scheme, but I think it works well with the snow. So let's get started. It really is a simple card because, again, these are not non-stamping cards. I just used the ephemera pack from Joyful Sayings, and I put them into a CD case so that, or a DVD case to keep them all organized and all my pieces together. So that's, it makes it really easy to make cards. So let's get started. I'm going to put this one away. And all this is I have a card base, I have a mat with the Snowflake embossing folder. I used the Snowflake Sky, which is still current, and you can still get that. And the frame is actually from Snowman Magic. This is a retired set, and it just dawned on me while I was making this card that the snowflakes are an exact match almost to the snowflakes in the embossing folder, so I thought they went really well together. But I'm going to show you, I think it would probably be still a beautiful card even without the frame, but the frame really kind of centers the images. Okay, so let's put some things aside, make some room. I'm going to cut the card base and cut all the mats and everything, and then I'll have to fussy cut the birds. So those are from the DSP, like I said. Okay, so let's bring in my paper trimmer. Oh, I think I made the angle worse. I'm looking at the screen now. Oh, Tanya, you are so busy. My goodness. But I think you're probably already making Christmas cards, if I'm guessing right, because you have so many Christmas cards to make. Okay. All right, so I don't know if I made that worse or better. Oh, I think I made it worse. It's making me crazy. I'm sorry. I'm OCD about that, but it's makes me crazy to look up at the screen and it's not straight on my desk. Okay. I think that's better now. Okay, that's better. Okay, so here's my card base. It's Pool Party. It's an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and I am going to just cut it in half at 5.5 inches on the long side. Okay, and then I'm just going to score it at 4 1/4 using the scoring blade. All right, so that is the card base, standard card base. Make some room here. And this embossed piece, let me just bring up my measurements so that you can, and oh, if you're watching for the first time, don't worry about writing things down. I always put the measurements in the video description after I'm done, so you can just check there and just enjoy watching. So the embossed mat here with the snowflakes is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So I'm just gonna cut a piece. So this one is 4 1/8. I'm just going to measure it right here, 4 1/8 and 5 3/8. And we'll put that through the cut and emboss machine in a second, but I'm going to cut the other mat as well. So the snowflake frame itself, I'm just going to need about a 3.5 by 4 3/4 inch piece, but I'm going to be trimming that down to size because we're not going to need the full width. 4 3/4. All right, so I think that's all I need to trim. I'm going to put this away. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is bring in my cut and emboss machine. Here we go. so for my embossing folder, this is a 3D embossing folder, so I'm gonna slide my paper inside. And I'm going to put it closer to the bottom because if you look at where I embossed, and this is just personal preference, you can use whatever you like. I used more of the lighter snowflake, not so much of the heavier snowflake cover. So I'm going to put it near the bottom of my folder. Maybe about here. Okay, so this is a 3D embossing folder. So if you ever forget which plates you have to use, you can just reference it on the main cutting plate. So the 3D embossing folder, you just use the bottom plate and the gray one. So I'm just going to grab the gray one, which is number, they're all numbered, so there's number 4. And I'm just going to run it through. So that looks good. And then I'm going to die cut my snowflake frame. So let me just put this aside, grab the snowflake frame, and I need to bring back my cutting plates. So my daughter is coaching me on social media. She's 12. She's telling me that I need to make videos for YouTube because I do have a YouTube channel. So if you're ever looking for replays of any of the cards, they're all up on YouTube now. I finally got that all uploaded a few months ago. So she said that when I'm making videos, I need to make some for YouTube so I could say the words click like or subscribe to follow me. So I don't know. It's just funny. I just found it really amusing, but I'm thinking, should I switch to YouTube? Should I move over to broadcasting on YouTube? I don't know. I don't know how you guys use YouTube, but I usually just use it more like a reference. Like I just only go there when I'm looking for a video about something specific, or if something shows up in my results, I'll go to it. But I find that for Facebook, I scroll through that like just for, I don't know, entertainment, I guess, and for keeping up with people. I don't scroll through YouTube regularly just to watch. So I don't know, like when you like and subscribe like a particular channel, I guess you would get updates for that channel when something new is posted, just like on Facebook. I don't know what the advantage would be. I'm not sure. Well, I guess like if I get enough subscribers on YouTube, there's monetary value attached to that, but I have no idea, like, you know, about getting to that point, or if it would be like pennies that you'd be making, but I don't know if there's actually extra functionality. That's another thing. Oh yeah, Sandra's saying maybe a younger audience. Yes, probably like a different audience. Yeah, people use social media in different ways, and some people don't watch me on or don't follow me on Facebook at all, and there are other people who and just follow me like on Instagram or just on YouTube. But yeah, so for me, like I primarily scroll through Instagram and Facebook, but not YouTube. So there's definitely a different audience out there. Okay, so I'm trying to peel this off, and I've just realized I should actually get out my brush to do this. Let me move this away. So there is a brush that you can attach to take your pick tool, and I don't use it often enough, but here it is. Oops, no, I can't attach it. It has to be the other end, that's why. So there's 2 ends that can be removed. This is the bigger one. Oops. And I need to screw this in on this side. Oh, Maureen, you haven't uploaded to YouTube. Yeah. Why do you feel intimidated? Is it just the process is daunting and like setting it up? I know that learning new tools is like, it's very time consuming to actually learn it and then figure out, you know, what you want to do and how you want to set it up, etc. That's the part I find intimidating. It certainly is a daunting task to take on like new tools and platforms. But you can do it. I did. You've done so much more than me, Maureen. I was admiring the craft retreat you had hosted recently. I would love to host a craft retreat, but that is an incredible amount of work. I don't know if I could manage it. Okay, so here's the snowflake frame. I know it doesn't look like it because I didn't cut it to size. I think I forgot that step. That's okay. I'm just going to cut it down. This is reality crafting. For those of you who are watching me for the first time, I also call my this or that Thursday reality crafting because things, you know, that will go wrong, but we'll fix it. Okay, so that is my frame. I'm going to bring back my trimmer and I'm just going to trim it down to just like a thin edge around. Okay, so just a little bit of an edge all around. Okay. Oh, okay, so I'm just catching up with the comments. So Maureen saying setting it up is intimidating. Yeah, it's like I said, learning new tools, that is time consuming and intimidating. But it was worth it, I think. I finally got it all set up. Tanya's saying she hasn't done Instagram at all. I found Instagram really great for just getting, it's like getting a whole summary of somebody's work, right? Just the pictures or just the reels. Instead of having to scroll through my Facebook feed, you could just go to Instagram and see pictures of all the cards I've made, because they're all there. It's kind of like a summary, whereas YouTube would be a summary of all my videos. So if you want to see how it was made, that's where you would go. So that's how I use it. And I like Instagram because there's a lot of really great card makers up there. And again, I don't want to scroll through all of their blogs and all of their Facebook posts because it's very time consuming, but I can see it much easier on Instagram. So that's why I started using Instagram. Sandra, I see that you say that you would go to a retreat if I hosted one. I know. I would go if I hosted one. I would want to go to a retreat, but and I know that my sister's always gone to one in just north of Toronto, but that's just too far, and I don't know. I haven't had the time to take a weekend off to go scrapbooking. That was more, no, it wasn't scrapbooking. I think it's also still card making, but it was open to doing scrapbooking and card making. So you could just bring all your projects and work on it there, and you'd have access to the host's tools, and then I guess you would have demonstrations, etc. So one day maybe I'll get there. I think that would be a really, really fun thing to have and to host. Just have to find the right venue and the right audience, you know, here that's local, that who would want to participate to make it a worthwhile endeavor. Okay, so now it looks like a snowflake frame because I've trimmed it all down. Okay, let's get that out of the way. All right, so now we have the card base. We have our mat. I'm just going to fold this over so it doesn't take so much room. I'm going to just use my bone folder to make a nice crisp fold. Okay, so I'm just going to lay it on top. Oh, what did I say about reality crafting? What the heck? Why is my mat so small? think I used the wrong one. That's why. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is totally reality crafting. So you remember how this was not cut to size? I did cut it to size. That was the one I was supposed to use. And this piece of paper was supposed to be the one I embossed. Oh, okay. All right, so let's redo that. Thank goodness I checked. I will just redo that. That's not a big deal. I just need to cut out of the piece of paper. Reality crafting at its finest. All right, let's get that back. Okay, so I need a new piece of paper. I'm gonna cut it down to the right size and we'll emboss it again. Okay, so 5 3/8 and 4 1/8. All right. And I'm just getting my cut and emboss machine, just a second. And we'll emboss again. If you didn't get it the first time, you're really getting it this time. You probably can fast forward through this section if you're watching on replay. Okay, so Sandra, I'm totally with you. I would love to just go on a vacation where somebody else organizes it and I just show up. That would be fantastic. Okay, so there we go. I've embossed it again. This time I've got the right size. Let's lay it out. Put this one away. I'm sure I'll use it for something else. I'll save it for something else. Okay, so now this fits properly. Okay, so I just wanted a 1/16 of an inch or all the way around just to give it a tiny pop of color, but not draw too much attention to that color. So what I'm going to do next, okay, so this is going to go on top. Whoops, I'm going to turn this around. I want my heavy snowfall at the top and light snowfall at the bottom, and then this will go on top and this will sit inside. So let me fussy cut this. Okay, so I know when I first started, I'm going to take off my glasses to fussy cut, so I won't be able to see your comments while I'm fussy cutting, but it's an old person thing, right? I have to take off my glasses to be able to see what I'm cutting properly. So fussy cutting was never my favorite before, but I've kind of grown into it. You have to have the right scissors, of course. You can't do fussy cutting with a regular set of scissors. The blades are too long, and these scissors are super sharp, so I don't mind fussy cutting as much as I did before. And it's something I can do actually if I'm watching a show, depending on what show on TV. I can just do it in front of the TV. And it's kind of relaxing. It's weird. Okay, so I'm just cutting around the edges of the birds. I'm not using, there is a die, stamp and die bundle that belongs to this suite of this theme, and I did not get it. I just wanted the paper. But there is a die bundle that goes with this. So if you didn't want to fussy cut, I think that there is one die in the set that will will die cut this image out. But it's not too bad for fussy cutting. So I'm just going to fussy cut it, and hopefully nobody's going to fall asleep while I'm doing this. And if you don't normally fussy cut, one tip that I had heard from somebody else that I find useful is that you kind of tilt your blades on a bit of an angle, because if you hold them straight up and down, that's what pushes the paper up, and you end up with kind of a lip on your image. So I kind of hold it at a little bit of an angle so that I try to avoid getting that lip on my paper after it's done. And I also turn my paper to help me cut. Like it's not just my scissor hand that's guiding where I'm cutting. I'm also turning the paper as I go. I'm just going to check here. Did I go? Oh yes, I did. I'm just checking how far up I cut. And sometimes I choose not to cut the little inside sections, but it does look better if you do cut out the inside sections. But on this card, you know what, I don't know if it really makes that much of a difference because it is all white in the background, so you could get away with probably not cutting every little bit out. So if you are, so I'm curious, like how many of you use YouTube like Facebook? You scroll through and you just look at users that you've subscribed to and that you get notifications that there's new videos, or do you just refer to it when you need to, when you're searching and you get it in your results? I'm just curious because I don't scroll through YouTube. I think it's probably a good thing because you could get lost just scrolling and scrolling and watching. That would eat up a lot of time. I guess that's where all the teenagers spend their time. I have a feeling that it is the younger crowd, like you said, Sandra, who is just going through all those videos and watching and watching. That's their TV. I mean, they don't. My son doesn't watch TV with us usually. He would rather, I guess, he watches a lot of videos, I think, on YouTube, and it's just short stuff or stuff that he picks, and it's pretty much like TV on demand, I guess. Instant gratification for the younger generation. Not like us when we had to rush the TV on, you know, Thursday night at 7 p.m. to watch Friends, and you'd set aside your time and make sure that you were free, right? Or record it and then have to watch it later. The videos are there for them to watch as many times as they want, when they want, whoever they want. So totally different kind of entertainment. I know there are comments popping up. I'm just concentrating on cutting. I'll catch up to them as soon as I'm done. So I'm nearly done. This wasn't too bad. Hopefully nobody's falling asleep over there. All right, so there we go. I'll put my glasses back on now. Let's see what you guys have been saying. Oh, Sandra's still not convinced on fussy cutting. Oh, Maureen's a Pinterest. Yes, okay, so that's another platform that I actually don't do. I use Pinterest sort of like a reference as well. I will just go there and pin stuff that I want to go back to. A lot of recipes. Not so much for card making. I don't know why. Okay, so here's my birds. So I'm going to show you without the frame. You know, I think it still looks really pretty. So those are the gems I use. This is the iridescent foil gems. I think it's really pretty. Those are clear with a little bit of gold sparkles. I like the more subtle embellishments. I prefer to use the embellishments that aren't too big. I'm not a fan of the gems that are all 5 and 6 millimeter sizes. I just find them too big for my taste. So I tend to stick to the tiniest ones, these ones, but because these ones are clear and they have just a bit of sparkle, I find that they're more subtle than other gems that size in a solid color. So I really like them. Okay, so here's the sentiment in the Joyful Sayings Ephemera pack. I'm just going to punch it out. And let's see how that looks there. Okay, so if you notice, there's a little bit of a gap here. So I felt it was missing something. I wanted to have my banner a little bit lower, but it left this gap here, which I felt was missing something. So what I did, and I haven't thrown it away yet, is I just took one of these spare berries in the paper and I cut that out as well, and I just added it on. So I'm just going to cut this one out really quickly. I think I gravitated towards Instagram, which I think is, I think Instagram is very similar to Pinterest in that it's mostly still pictures. Well, no, I think now there's a lot more reels and stuff on it, but I gravitated towards Instagram because a lot of the oh my goodness, what's the word? The artistic designers, what? I'm trying to remember. What's the word? Somebody tell me. The designers that Stampin' Up! Has every year they feature their work and they get them to demonstrate techniques. Why am I having I'm having like a moment of forgetfulness. What are they called? Artisan designers. There we go. Yeah, because they have, I think most of them, if not all of them, have an account up on Instagram. I don't know about Pinterest though. So, okay, so I just use the berries here and I slide them in. I just think it just completes that small empty space. So you can see, you can make just a fantastic card even without the snowflakes behind there. It's still a gorgeous card. I like it, but I think this just adds a little extra something. Okay, so let's go ahead and assemble it. Okay, so easy peasy. I'm going to put some glue on the back of this one. Is anybody else a Pinterest fan? I guess what would you say is the difference between Instagram and Pinterest? Or are you not on Pinterest, Maureen? Sorry, not on Instagram. You're on Pinterest, but are you on Instagram as well? I'm just curious, what's the main difference? I think, to me, the difference between the two are the saving, like how you can create boards to save the Pinterest pictures that you like. Whereas Instagram, yes, you can still save them, but it's in these lists, and you can't. I think it's 2 steps to access them, so it's just laid out differently. I'm not sure what other things I'm missing out on between the two. So if anybody knows, let me know. Okay, so for this frame, I'm going to turn it around. There's a few more snowflakes up at the top, and there's more room for the bird here, so that's why I put that corner up. So with this, I'm just going to get out my silicone mat in case I accidentally go outside of the lines, but I'm just going to put dots of glue. This is something that, you can use an adhesive sheet and then die cut this, and then this whole thing would be a sticker. But I just find that I don't mind using just dots of glue to adhere this, and you really don't need a lot. You don't want it squishing out, so I just put a small amount, and I actually am going to leave a tiny bit of room here. So if you notice, my bird actually slides underneath this side snowflake here, so I'm just going to have to be careful not to put glue underneath that one snowflake. But if not, if you forget, that's not a big deal. You just put it on top, that's all. So I'm just going to put dots of glue along the edges here so that they stay down, so they don't lift up once I create the frame, put the frame down. And yes, this is a little bit painstaking, but I don't find it, I find it relaxing actually, sort of like the fussy cutting, because I'm just putting little dots of glue. Okay, and I know there's a fine tip glue pen out there and I have it, but I find that that glue dries very quickly, and I can't seem to work fast enough to put all my glue down before it dries. And so I'm okay with using this because this fine tip on this glue applicator is fine for this. You just don't press too hard, just press a little bit out, right? Because you don't need gobs of glue. Oops. Okay, so this is the one I don't want to cover with glue, so I'm just gonna make sure make a point of not doing that. Okay, all right. And I'm gonna use tweezers. I cannot do this without tweezers. I would get glue all over me. I don't know how other people do it, but oh look, actually I could do it like this. Look at that. Okay, I might still use, actually I'll use tweezers here, I know this one has no glue on it. Okay, so I'm just going to center that as best as I can. Whoops. And thankfully this is all white, so you're not going to notice a mistake. Just trying to move it down a little bit, and I think that looks good. Oh, did I? Oh yeah, okay. I thought I put the wrong side down, the wrong orientation, but it's okay. Maureen's saying that she's limited herself on social media. I see. Fair enough. There is a lot to see, and there's a lot you can get stuck scrolling through. You gotta stop somewhere, right? All right, so there's my frame. So those were just easy, and I'm just going to glue this down as well. So I'm just kind of taking a look at where, so this, I'm just going to show you this edge I'm sliding underneath so that it just lines up with the frame, so then it looks like it's just part of this frame. I might slide this down just a tiny bit, but we'll have to glue that down, actually a little bit up, and then it won't be covering the snowflake as much. But really, in the end, I don't think it matters. I think, you know, as long as it's in this region, it's fine. So I'm just going to put some glue on the back, and I'm not going to put it too close to the edge, because what's going to happen is it gives me a little play room. So if I need to move it around a little bit, the glue won't show as easily as if it was like right on the edge of the image. And again, not gobs, right? I don't need lots. It's just enough, because I find if I put too much, it can make the paper wrinkle if it's too much. Okay, so using my tweezers, and I'm just going to turn it so I can slide it underneath my snowflake. There we go. I'm just going to make sure they look sort of straight. There's no real straight-ish because these birds are on a branch. It's not going to be a straight branch, so, but something like this, right? Okay, so my birds are glued down. I'm actually going to put my banner on first, and then I'll put these little berries on last, because then I'll know where I want them to peek through. So I'm going to use dimensionals to pop this up. Let's see what I've got here. Okay, so, oops. bit of leftover stuck here. Okay. All right, so let's put this on. So I know that there's, I'm gonna put some big ones behind here because I don't like to put it, put dimensionals where there's already a layer of paper because I don't want it to be uneven. I'm aiming to get it to lie flat as possible. So let's put it here. And here. Let's just see how that looks. And just kind of, okay. I have a feeling I put that one is too far, so it's sitting on top here. So I'm just gonna gently peel that off. And I'm gonna put closer to the middle where it's not gonna sit on a piece of paper, so I don't get too many layers. Right? Like that. Okay, so I know there's no paper. There's no, I want it to stick here. So I'm just gonna stick it right there, right here. So then I know it's in the right spot because I know that by holding my banner here, that's approximately where it's gonna end up. And I'm gonna put one over here too. Right in between the tail feather and the branch and the snowflake, right? Right in the empty spot. And I think that would be good. So I'm just going to take off the Oh, Sandra, I see that they remembered that you did sewing for them last year and now you're getting asked to do it again because you did such a good job. That's but isn't it early? I mean, wow, we're in September. You're already going to be sewing for the show? When's the show? Like, isn't that normally like end of school year or closer to the end of school year? Okay, so using my tweezers again to just, I don't know how you can do it without tweezers. I love my tweezers just to help me position things and get my fingers out of the way when I want to see how something looks. I'm just gonna put this, oh. All right. There we go. So you see there's a little white space there. That's where I'm going to stick a little bit of berries. Oh, okay. I gotta be careful because there's a sticker right, there is a dimensional right underneath there. I think last time I didn't position it right there. So what I'm going to do, because this is preventing me from putting it down, I'm going to just trim the bottom part so that it will fit. Let's see if that's enough. I can't seem to stick it in there. Okay, a little bit more. See, reality crafting. I had forgotten about this. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. So let's just put a little bit of glue. Oh, okay, I see. So the show's in December. Yeah, I guess time to start. How many costumes are you going to be making? Okay, so that works perfectly. I'm just going to press that down. There. All right, so we're almost done. I'm gonna get my take your pick tool so I can get those gems onto the card. Okay, so this is the putty end. I'm always afraid of like twisting this by accident. I always forget which way I have to twist it to get more putty out, and because I don't have to do it very often. And I'm just gathering up like the putty end here because it gets pressed down obviously when you press it and use it for picking stuff up. So I just gather it up again before I use it. Okay. But if you turn it, you have to turn it a certain way. Like, I can't remember if it's clockwise or counterclockwise to get more putty to come out. And I'm always worried I'm gonna accidentally, when I'm screwing it on, turn it and then end up with tons of putty coming out like toothpaste. Oh, thank you, Maureen. Yeah, well, there's another word for detailed and meticulous. It's not as flattering, um, but this is the way I make cards. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a few of these gems, and I'm just gonna put one down here, another one up here, and I like using retired and current stuff because it's. I'm gonna put one right here in the snowflake. Because it just so happens like this snowflake frame just perfectly matches the embossing in the Snowflake Sky. So I thought it went so well together. I was really pleased with this card when I was done. And I think that's it. So, you know, my card making has been going much faster suddenly. So that is my completed card. I thought about adding ribbon, something else, but I think it's just good as is. I have pool party ribbon, but I just couldn't figure out a way to add it and make this card any better. I feel like this is good. Thank you, Maureen. I know you meant it in a flattering way. I was just thinking to me like sometimes it's not so flattering to be so OCD about placing everything, but I that's just the way I make cards. So here's the final card. It was pretty fast. Like look at my card making this year, this month. Like I've been doing cards in like 45 minutes, whereas normally I take like an hour-ish. So I just wanted to, I'm really just having a good time with the pre-made ephemera packs and the paper and assembling cards that way. And I really loved how this one turned out. Yes, and I posted the cards early this week, Sandra. Last week was not early. That one was really late, but hopefully it'll continue like that. I actually do have one of the cards ready for next week already because I was kind of got the mojo going, and so I'm hoping it'll continue. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for joining me. And it's always nice to have so many people to chat with. So I hope you'll join me again next week. In the meantime, happy crafting and have a great week. Bye, ladies.